So welcome to week 2 of the renovation of Roadie, our RV. And this week we headed to Eufaula for demolition of the whole inside of it. And David's sister and her husband were gracious enough to allow us to use Eufaula glass to do all of this demolition and the renovation and stuff. And that's been super helpful. So we removed everything, as you'll see in the video, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work, but I totally think it'll be worth it. Day 1 of demolition of Roadie here begins, and fortunately David's sister owns Eufaula Glass Company in Eufaula and is allowing us to use their bay to be out of the sun. We can turn on the air or fans and get all the work done inside. Thank you, Eufaula Glass Company. We are inside the camper. We've taken all the cabinet doors off, and we're about to take this lovely sofa bed off. And then we're going to remove the oven top, and we're going to spray paint that. That's gonna be cool. And we are taking off doors and blinds and all kinds of stuff to make it nice and bright and white, and in the middle of demo. Yeah.
So there's 1/2-inch bolts on the bracket underneath the sofa holding it in place. We're going to be taking those off, and once we got the sofa up in the air, we could actually see underneath it really good and look. It was obvious what the problem was, why it wasn't sitting so well. There is hardy board wedged underneath this sofa springs in an attempt to make it more comfortable, I guess to make it more sturdy, I don't know. Either way.
So while David is down there taking out the sofa, I am up here in the bunk taking down these awful curtains. I can use a small tool, which is more my speed.
So this is the reason that this couch sits so awesome. We found a great website called recpro.com, and we're ordering a new double recliner that fits in this area. We hope it fits in this area. We got to double check our measurements in a little while just to make sure. But we're going to put a double recliner with a center console and this slide out, simply because this isn't long enough for an adult human to sleep on. About 63 inches. That's a 6-foot dinette, and it makes a pretty comfortable bed, believe it or not. We're going to replace the table. Long story, but it needs to be replaced. Something we did, something that didn't come with the camper. Actually, something we broke on it. But we're going to get that taken care of, and this is going in the dumpster. And if there wasn't expensive piles of glass outside, I would throw it outside the door right now.
Very dramatic. The ugly sofa is gone. Yay!
It's still putting up a little fight.
Uh-oh.
But I'm almost
Seatbelts.
Seatbelts aren't holding it in. There's a couple of screws that I missed down here at the bottom.
Okay.
So I can get my screw gun, and these will come out pretty quickly.
Yay.
And then the ugly couch will be gone.
It was pretty bad and very uncomfortable. Okay.
So removing the stove, we removed the back piece of trim. This lid just pops up. It's a little dirty, needs to be cleaned. We're missing some grommets right here. These things, some of them have fallen down in here from the heat on the stove. They're really cheap. You can get them on Amazon. If you Google stove parts, they're one of the first things that pops up. I'm going to stick a couple of back in here. I'm not saying we're not going to replace all of them, but just so I'll have somewhere to put these for the time being. So we've turned the gas off already. One of the things that bothers me, and this is what happens when you buy something new, I want to make sure that this is not some owner repair here, that it is something that was done by the manufacturer. I don't know, I need to take a good look at that. But we're going to be taking the gas line off here in a minute, and it looks like we have 4 screws holding us in place, and it's going to come right out, and this is going to get a nice new coat of paint. It's going to look a lot better. Excuse me. And we're going to make sure that it's nice and clean, because this thing's filthy.
Look, there's even trash in it.
Yeah.
Trash. How does that happen?
Here. Hey guys.
4 screws later.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull it out.
And voila.
Pretty nasty.
And here is the opening. And the microwave we've already replaced.
So I guess if we're removing the countertop, which we need to, it's in really rough shape, we might as well remove this sink as well. We're going to replace it with a single sink. So we'll be moving the drain to the middle and reconfiguring the plumbing on the inside. But really easy to get out, just a few clips holding it in place. You just have to kind of work your way up inside after you disconnect the water lines, disconnect the drains. And I put a bucket down there to catch any, even though we didn't have the water on, just to make sure we caught any water that was coming out of the lines, because we don't want a bunch of water flooding the inside of the cabinet. There's been enough in here to begin with. If we were going to be replacing this sink, we'd be scraping this off right here. We are not. We're probably going to take this back on the back of our car. We're going to be using it as a template. Cut out our new one, and we're going to be using a butcher block. And when I say cutting out a template for the new one, the template will be for our stove. Our sink will probably come with its own template. I don't know if we're going to stick to the same size sink. We don't know yet. We're early on in that. But either way, just to make sure, I'm going to throw this sink in the dumpster today. That way we're obligated to buy another one.
Yay!
Bye-bye, ugly sink.
Bye-bye, ugly sink. So the countertop was screwed on into multiple places, but we think we got the last of the screws. And now for the big lift. Woo! Goodbye, really ugly, sagging countertop.
Well, don't celebrate yet.
Uh-oh. This edge might have a little bit extra. Oh, there it goes. Yay!
Well, elbow grease.
Elbow grease. That'll work.
We need to measure the length of this.
So, the reason we think our oven fan wasn't working is there's a dirt doubler in it. We also had a dirt doubler in our air conditioner. So my recommendation is, if you have an RV, don't let it sit for too long without using it in one location.
Well,
it's
by the
probably
way,
the problem.
This is an RV that's never been cooked in, according to the seller. So this grease comes standard from Coachman. They put it in there when they build it. That way you know what it's supposed to look like. So this is an RV that's never been cooked in a kitchen that's never been used. So it's obvious, because no RV dealer would lie, that this grease was put inside of this hood in the Coachman factory, so that you would know what it was like once it had grease inside of it.
Just a little sarcasm there.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching our first week of the demolition of Roadie, and stay tuned for the weeks to come as we redo Roadie, and hopefully our production of these videos get better as Roadie gets better. Bye.